Good morning, Jewel. Greetings, sis. Good morning and happy Tuesday. No, Wednesday.
I just had got up. Then I had to walk all the way back over here.
Sorry. How are you?
I'm fine. I did ask permission to record it. Did you get the
Yes, I
notification?
did. I did.
You look good.
Thank you.
you you needed New York. You
I's
needed.
rested. I's rested. I's better now.
You look better.
Thank you. Um, that was a hard trip. I learned some things. Mm, and it's okay. And we're going to talk about some other stuff maybe a little bit later. So let's just start the program. Um, family, welcome to my channel, my Aunt on the Mat. And we are here with the lovely uh, Black Jewel. I met Jewel while in the Gambia. And now that I'm back in the States for just a little bit, I thought it would be a great idea to take advantage of the lovely Wi-Fi and electricity and allow myself to reach out to my Gambian sisters and
Yeah.
aunties and cousins and connect with them through this platform. The first time I introduced Jewel to the platform, we were both in the Gambia, and she started to spit bars about what she does there and her calling. And so I wanted to invite her back again and allow her the platform so she could share with us her jewels on how to better yourself, be in contact with your emotions, um, and more importantly, understand how our past may be affecting the choices that we're making today and how to free free ourselves. Would we be free of it? Or if we know it, then we know how to adjust or which direction to go. Anyway, you got the floor, honey. Go right ahead.
So I want to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you, sister, for giving me this opportunity, but thank you for your courageousness and your authenticity as you navigated the Gambian streets and just being true to who you are in each situation with each individual, right? I've watched you in action, and Gambia could be hard on anybody. If you don't have the tenacity to tell a MO, because I'm not cussing, right? Woo! You know, what's your beautiful name? Da, da, da. It gets so old here. And you just got to be about your business. And
Yes.
that's what a lot of us come here with our noses open and fresh eyed and puppy tailed like I did and get easily caught up. So, you missed a lot of things that you wanted to talk about. However, I only have an hour. So let's just give me a specific question so we can keep it moving. And if you need me to come back, we can, or keep something going, however you want to work. But there's so much to talk about.
There is so much to talk about. So, what we're going to do today, I'm going to give you the platform. When we were together and you talked about the 3Ds, that was the thing that really kind of got me. And being back in New York City and seeing that there has been a lot of change, but for a lot of us, Black people, a lot of things are still the same. And I think it's those 3Ds that we have to really begin to acknowledge in order to be set free. So I'm going to let you speak for, what is it, 54 minutes? That will give you the 8 o'clock. At that, for me, it'll be the 8 o'clock hour. For you, it would be the 12 o'clock hour. So go right ahead.
I'm short, so we don't need an hour just on 3Ds. 3Ds, let me reintroduce myself, okay? So Black Jewel is Black Jewel Tarot. I'm a diviner. I read tarots, I read energy, and I had to do this work on myself. So that is my platform on a lot of the media, right? So Reverend Tiny is really my handle where I came into my ministry here in the Gambia, but I've always been a little Christian girl with a hook. You know, I played with the devil many, 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 many times. Like me and the devil became best friends. And people, it's not about what other people accept or, oh, that's bad or, oh, it's your shadow side. It's the things that people don't want to talk about. It's my ego, right? It's, not living in my authenticity and just running amok. That's who I became friends with. So during my journey of healing and finding myself and reconnecting, my motto was 3Ds: no dick, no dope, no donuts. I was in several AA platforms, programs, and in recovery, an avid recovery seeker because my life had become so disgruntled from my own decisions. 3Ds came where I wasn't having sex with anybody, and not that I didn't want to, it was time for me to take ownership of my own body. And as females and being Black and raised, conditioned in my environment, I was promiscuous. I did what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it and didn't think about the repercussions, like having a child out of wedlock, STDs, having my heart broke, having my sharing that sexual energy and not knowing what it was all about.
Right.
Right? So definitely now I'm creating a program where I bring in young females and we discuss this because it's not a topic of conversation in households, and especially our younger Black households. Ownership of your own body. You don't have to lay down, you don't have to say yes, you don't have to oral copulate or anything, and that may be vulgar, but so what, because sex is sex and good sex is even better.
Yeah, this is an adult channel, and we're here to talk about real things. So we're putting everything on the table because that's where the healing starts, you know?
Definitely. Mm. Definitely. I'm telling you, Leslie, I have been through so much where creating the 3Ds, it really gave me a sense of value in how respecting myself meant more than any relationship, right? I'm not getting ready to dumb dick myself down just to make somebody else happy. And also, I just wanted, to totally live in my own autonomy and what that felt like, what that begins to look like, especially in my adult life. You know, here I am at the top of the hour in my life now. And things have changed so much on the upside of life. And I'm so grateful that I can't help but to share the possibilities of life when you take control of your life, right? And so 3Ds is definitely somewhere you can go, come to me. But we have these open discussions about our sexuality, the masculine and the feminine side, because as Black women, we're always projected in that masculine side.
Right.
And what does that look like for other people? And we can't just be us.
Right.
Oh, she hard. Oh, she mannish. Oh, I don't want to. No, I'm walking around in my feminine energy, knowing that yeah, I do have a lot of masculine energy because I was raised. I got 6 brothers and plus. I ran with my cousins. I'm a diesel mechanic. I work on cars. I like fast cars and fast men, but I'm changing. So just knowing who you are is knowing yourself. They always say know thyself, right?
Right.
That's the first part, just knowing who you are. Um, there's one exercise that I do is write your name down and write it down 7 times. And each time you come up with I want to say Enneagram. I'm thinking about an Enneagram course where it teaches you personalities. We'll talk about that more. But who are you? These personas that are created, and who you showing up as. Like some days I'm Joelle Colbert, you know. Well, some people like, well, who are you today? Because as women, we wear these different hats,
Right.
the lawyer, the coach, and all of that. So it's fun to get to know and identify these personas. So when you meet that dick, that ain't it's like, well, what dick did you make because of your persona and how you showing up? And we're not
Interesting.
taught that, right?
Right.
We're not taught that. Well, you presented yourself as this thing.
I'm just thinking about Chaka Khan. She already said it. She said, I'm every woman. It's all in me. Anything you want done, baby. I'll do it
Mhm.
naturally. The thing is, we just dance to the song, but when we listen to the words, what you're saying to me resonates. There are
Right.
different parts of who we are. And the
Definitely.
way that we meet someone or react in a situation, that will determine which part of the individual comes out. Yeah.
Def- Definitely. Because if you meet me on a good night, it'd be Juicy, my stripper stage name. Not that I ever was a stripper, but hey, and people draw on different energies and how we show up. So I always just like to get to talk to people and see where they're at in their persona, and it's not about breaking the person down or digging deep and being the psychologist. It's going through the steps of acknowledging and acknowledge who you are,
Mhm.
who you want to be, and what that looks like. And
Mhm.
that takes a lot of soul searching, that takes a lot of vulnerability to be able, well, I want to be such and such. I want to be this thing presented in my life in my own idea and show up as such. And I mentioned the Enneagram, so I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about the Enneagram. You can go to SeriousEncounters.com. Dr. Rashawn is an Enneagram teacher. She has a workshop and she teaches about the 9 different personality types. Hers is the Black Enneagram. There's the Enneagram book by Dr. Russ Russo. I could look it up.
Mhm.
But the Enneagram, I don't have my it's personality types. So I'm a type 8 there's a personality type 1 through 9, and then there's wings 1 through 9 as well. So I'm an 8. Eights are very outgoing and outspoken, and it's a big energy. It's a big energy. When I show up the room, I could change the energy by how I'm feeling. Right? That's the 8 energy. A 2 is a lower energy, don't like no confrontations, as a nurturer. So she goes through all of these Enneagram types, and you figure out where you are, and that gives you all the ammunition that you need to change what you
Mhm.
need to change. When I found out I was an 8 and I was showing up abrasive in my lower 8, right? I was like, well, I need to change that. I need to change who shows up, and it wasn't about altering personalities. It's just acknowledging how you're showing up and how you're looking at other people. And that's important because, we come in the door one way, but people are looking at us in another. So when I came in her door, I went out a different way and a new person. And we just had another workshop. And I've taken this workshop maybe 3 or 4 times. And every time I learn something new, I learn something different that enhances my way of life and being authentic in my own life.
Mhm.
So everybody go to SeriousEncounters.com, look at her workshop, see what's coming up, get to know her, because it will be a life changing. Take my word, I'm in Africa under her leadership, under her guidance, and she's phenomenal. So Dr. Rashawn, I'm giving your flowers now for even, working with me, because I'm a lot to deal with.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that because you have extended yourself, taken your information and knowledge, and you've come to Gambia and you meet other people throughout the world, I'm sure. But
Oh
you
yeah.
share with them what you have learned. But then you also continue to go to the practitioner who helped you so that you can continue to impart. Because what happens is we get into these spaces where we're always pouring out. And after a while, the oil starts to drip and then it becomes empty. We need to be able to sit somewhere and get poured in so that we can continue the work that we've been called to do. So
Absolutely.
I do appreciate that fact. So let's talk about that other D, drugs, and how the hip hop industry. I think there
Ooh,
was a connection that you mentioned with that, and I want you to touch on that a little bit more.
well, you did that in perfect timing because I'm like, the second D is next.
Yes.
Dope.
Mhm.
No dope, just hope. Pray for hope, right? So, the 50 years of hip hop, I said a flat 50. 50 years old. So, I grew up in the era. My first song was, Rapper's Delight, and the Sugar Hill Gang. That's what I grew up in. And we went from Marvin Gaye to NWA. And I raised my children under that guise, knowing that, oh, I love to be loved and caressed. But I had a gangster side, like, that shadow side was gangster. And it's like, we eat tears for lunch and, go do this and go do that, right? I did. That's how,
Who would have
I,
known? Who would?
but that kept me safe.
Yes.
Having that type of backbone in the streets and having that much power kept me safe. I didn't have to do a lot, because I stood on principles and I didn't play no games. So it really saved me. And I had a moral compass. And I thank my mother, Rosetta Hunt, that raised me in the Jehovah Witness congregation, where that the moral principles kept me balanced, where I couldn't go too far to the left,
Mm-hmm.
right? I did a lot. I'll never say I didn't do this and I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, I did. I did it twice, maybe a third time if it felt good. But I had that Christ-like consciousness, like,
Yes.
no, when I like to do too much, I'm coming home, and
Right.
I knew where to go. A lot of us get lost where we don't have nowhere to go. And that's where, being enmeshed in the dope era and in a dope game, we got to find pockets for places for people
Mm.
to go and say, and I said pocket to go in there, how you pull a rabbit out your hat or something. Well, I got $2 in my pocket. I didn't even know. These are crucial places for people that are just enmeshed. When I was going through my own personal journey in there's so many words that I could use. I had like 50 words in my head, but I'm trying to be very diplomatic and you be nice for the people out there. It's a ball of shit.
Okay.
It just it was filth, flooring filth. It was messed up. I did messed up things. And so the second D was just I had to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And it was no to person, people, and things. It was no to every kind of drug. And I'm still struggling because I love sugar.
Mm.
And we'll talk about the sugar and the salt. That's very much a part of the addictions. It changes the brain chemistry. You're aggressive when you have so much sugar in you, and we're not processing things. I don't get enough exercise, so it stays in the system, and I got to do other things to alleviate that. So I'm still not out of the woods, and I'm not perfect. So I'm not here to downgrade anybody in their usage, right? I used to wake up and smoke a blunt. So I'm not saying, ooh, that's a drug and don't do that. Nope, never would say that. Because my my stuff is like, I went through a phase where I needed a joint.
Mm-hmm.
I was ill. I was paralyzed from scratching my nose from the waist down, and I was prescribed so much THC with CBD to alleviate the pain. So there is uses, medicinal uses for marijuana, and I've been one of those, and I've been a chronic abuser of marijuana, so I've been on both sides of the fence with it. So I would never judge, and I don't like people judging me, so I don't judge other people. That's really what it's about. Um, So during that, going through all of the AA programs, NAAA, OA, SA, CA, I'm talking about every one of them, several times, I just had to say no.
Mhm.
I just had to say no. And as you move further in your own journey, you'll recognize what you have to say no in people that are dope. And that might sound like far-fetched. Like, what do you mean people that are dope? That have personalities that you're addicted to,
Yes.
that you're comfortable with,
Mm.
that I had to say no. Like, there's that one kind of man that'll give me every time. I ain't gotta be in a dark place and hot. It's just like, ooh,
Right, because he's like happy that
that
that you're
kind
messy. He's happy that you're messy
of,
because y'all could be
right,
messy
right, right.
together. You know?
Together and have fun at doing it, right?
Right.
But it's good for my spirit. Is my spirit happy? Am I knowing myself? Am I doing what my God wants me to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I just say my God because it's personal. It's personal. My God is personal to me. Am I, acting out in a way I'm walking in accord with my spiritual journey?
Right.
So don't was a major game player in my life, and I had to recognize all the facets that encompasses dope. Because it's not about just cocaine, it's not about just methamphetamine, it's not about marijuana or alcohol. It could be everything. Your
Anything.
life
Yeah.
can just be dope,
Mm-hmm. Did you say
right?
coffee? Leave the coffee alone now, you know?
Wait, girl, wait. Yes, caffeine.
Leave my
Ha!
coffee
I love it.
alone. You know me. If
Look,
I'm not drinking coffee once a day, I always be like once a day.
yeah,
And I,
once a day.
but yeah, it's waiting for
But
me
it's
downstairs.
Yeah, but that's the things is that we're fed all these things, the Starbucks. When I went back to the States, I was like, hot damn, I'm going to Starbucks. And then I was like, I ain't had Starbucks in a whole year. Now I'm paying $10 on it was $10
Mm,
when I went back because I want the caramel drizzle, salted,
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
my
I
daughter's
find that things don't always taste the same. You know, I'm back and I started with a lot of fruits because it's the summertime and I'm like, ooh, there's cherries and there's watermelon. The watermelon didn't have any seeds. I wasn't happy about that, but I ate it anyway. And then they're like giving away fruit for like $1. I'm like, why is a container of strawberries $1? I'm like,
no
what's in
doubt.
these?
What's
See, like
wrong with strawberries?
and this all in up in the neighborhood, and they weren't selling fruit like that when I left. So I'm like,
Hmm.
what's here in this fruit? But I have been eating it. But
Yeah.
I find that when I went out of the fruit and went to like a ham and cheese on a bagel with my coffee with milk and two sugars, it the meat tastes too salty for me. And then I was like, oh man, so I could either continue eating it and get used to the high salt of the food or just not eat it at all. So for me, it has to do with coming back into a space that's familiar and being careful not to pick up those old habits
Right. And
that
that's the thing.
hmm
Sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Continue because when we're talking about dope, it's not about because I used the word drugs initially, but it's anything that can hold you, change the way you feel about yourself, how your body reacts to certain things, information. If it comes up, you don't need to be eating it, even if it tastes good. So I had,
Right.
okay, that was a good sandwich, and then that's it for me. I'm leaving it alone.
Right. Because if you go back little by little, you'll get acclimated to that high sodium content, and you don't want that.
You don't
And
want
your
it.
skin is beautiful. You don't want to be puffy with your ankles swollen and you limping. When you do a lot of salt, it crystallizes in the blood cell, and that's arthritis. That's where
Mm,
gout comes comes from. We don't want that. We don't need that in our life.
Exactly.
So yes, sis, and I know for me, when I went back to the States, did nothing taste right.
Mm.
That was like, I don't believe I sat up and ate all of this because I was one, I always had my grandchildren and we lay up in the bed and watch cartoons or the whatever was out and eat cookies
Right.
and then little Debbie's and I was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But the fruit snacks, the Welch's fruit snacks from Walmart, busting. Like,
Okay.
I took like 5 packs in my in my suitcase when I came back. So, I still have my things, and everybody has, just that one thing, but in balance,
Imbalance. Mm-hmm.
in balance, moderation. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I say.
Yeah.
Because everything can be addictive, everything can be dope from even from our TV and our media content.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
being careful. Um, it's being careful. It's and doing what's good for yourself as in your individual lane. Because what's good for me may not be good for you, and what I do, my own thing, right? So I give people a lot of space, and I hold myself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got time to be holding nobody accountable to what they're supposed to be doing because it's a personal journey. I can't walk your walk, nor would I want to. I'll be right there on the side, like, hey, girl, I'm like, hey, we can go together, if you want me to. But all that, did you do such and such today? No, it's hard.
It's hard, but I think that that third D was no donuts, and that kind of factors into the things that we put into our mouths that gives
Mhm.
us that feeling of comfort. Or maybe, well, yeah, I'm
Okay.
assuming it starts out as comfort, but the outcome may not be comforting.
Okay. So is your Google open Chrome? I want you to do a little research with me
I
real
have my
quick.
phone. Mm-hmm.
I want you to look up a synonym, another word for trauma.
Mm. Okay, let's do that right now.
Mhm. I like homework, I like research, and I like other people to do my work for me.
So let's see what it says here. It says here, a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. That's the first one. And the second one says physical injury.
Okay, now what's a synonym for that, for those words?
Okay, hold on. Let me see if it has it here, because sometimes, you know,
Some My dictionary app is not open. My producer moved everything around on my computer. I used to have a dictionary app in the dock where I could, let me see if it's in the finder. Here it is. Oh, it's thesaurus.
synonym
Search.
I have here
Trauma.
agony, anguish, blow, confusion, damage, injury, ordeal, shock, strain, stress, suffering, torture, upheaval, and wound.
So between wounds and suffering, I'm trying to get away from the word trauma. And that
Okay.
was why I did that, because we throw around that word where it doesn't have any guarantee, it doesn't have any weight, because everybody uses it. Everybody, I'm trauma this and trauma that, and our wounds, our existing, our pain. The emotional eating for me came from my childhood, and this is an adult parental advisory, right? So to just give people reminders, I don't want to traumatize anybody, but for molestation. So I found myself from being a little girl, sweet and innocent, from preschool on to about third grade, where I began to pick up a lot of weight. Eating emotionally, my comfort food, because I did not speak, my throat chakra was closed. I became catatonic and I just did whatever I was supposed to, and I didn't really talk a lot. Um, Emotional eating was just what I did, and it's who I became and what allowed me to express myself. I didn't know I was killing myself. I didn't know that it was a detriment to my own life, right? It was only through these series of going in my spiritual journey, asking forgiveness and asking, how do I change this? How do I get real with myself? So the no donuts, no dick, no dope, no donuts, these are all things that were personal to me. And I'm sharing this because it was my story and it was severe. I was 479 pounds. So while I was knocking on doors as a Jehovah's Witness and my feet swelling like loaves of bread, because in Sacramento it gets 110, 11. Even in a spiritual journey, I didn't look in the mirror for 7 years.
Hmm.
And I'm bringing this up too because even though you Christ-like and you knocking on doors and you doing a, praise Jesus, I wasn't dealing with me. I wasn't dealing with the pain that was left behind from the crack epidemic and the trauma, because it became, if my homies can't have none, it ain't fun.
Hmm.
Right? All of these situations that were abusive to my body and taking my body, taken from me, there was no more innocence. So I found my innocence in ho-hos. I found my innocence in cupcakes. I found my pleasure. My emotional eating was filled through these toxic consumptions. I'm
That's
only going to speak
interesting.
for myself, but it was evident in my life that it was trauma based and trauma filled. How I was showing up, what I looked like. And I didn't know the mass, the severity of my trauma, because when you're living that kind of life, you just go around, you do what you need to do, you take care of the kids, you
Mhm.
until one day it hits you and you have a fucking meltdown. And because that's how breakdowns happen. It's like, oh my God, the sky is falling and I'm going down this hole. And it happened to me several times. And I won't get into, what happened or blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying it happens and we have to deal with it and we have to get help. And that's why rooms like this is so important, to have adult conversations about things that happen in our childhood or whenever, and to gain our autonomy, to gain our freedom and our liberation through self-reflection, speech, and having somebody to listen to us, right? But we got to listen to ourselves to know that I need to change. And this was a lot of rooms that I had to go in to find that, because I was my own worst enemy. I fought my own demons. And I'm telling you, we battled, and it's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not easy to say, you know what, I'm not gonna let that change who I am, and I'm not gonna let that beat me up anymore. It's a lot of work when you find out your whole chakra system is closed off.
Hmm. So the interesting thing is this. I want to share two things with you. The first thing you said, because the mind, it don't retain stuff like it used to anymore. Um, you talked about when you were younger, you didn't talk a lot. You were very quiet. I was the same way, believe it or not. I was a very quiet child. I had a habit of sucking my thumb. I would put my thumb in my mouth. Even it brought me a lot of comfort. Even when I go to do this, my body is responding like, I used to twist my hair, and I did that up
Me too.
to the age of 14. 14. And I had family members threaten to put roach poo on it. I don't know where they were collecting it, but they were, if it came in a can or a jar.
I'm gonna tell you a story. My cousin put ants on my thumb. And then they was like, "You gonna stop sucking your thumb?" She put hot sauce and a whole bunch of seasoning and shit. And I was like, "This tastes good." And
Just
she was
added to the flavor.
like, "Yeah,
Right?
this is good. Let me."
Oh
So
wait, what were those dead ants? They were dead
no, they
ants,
were live.
and
There was an
they
ant hill where they lived, and I'm trying to think in Old Park, what was that thing? 12th Avenue. They had a brick house, and it was an ant farm, and went in there and got a heat. And, children are just something else, right? Um,
and you
but
just blow it off. Thank you. Because I didn't realize until later that thumb sucking is a way to soothe yourself. It's self-soothing, and I wasn't aware of that.
mhm.
It was only when one of my cousins said, boys that you like will not find that attractive.
No, they love it.
Well, but that's what made me stop, because at that point, at 14, I was kind of getting interested in boys. And I was like, well, I don't be like, how you doing? Because look, I remember there was a lady that I knew. She was already in her 30s. She was
Mhm,
still sucking her thumb in public. Okay. But she was happily married with children. So he didn't really, he didn't really care too much. But I thought that was interesting that you mentioned that. And
mhm,
then there was throat chakra, chakras, spirituality. Those are words that were presented as evil for us. Getting involved in yoga or sitting still and
yes.
breathing and meditation. Oh my God, I remember because I grew up as a Christian in the church, what you would call the Church of God in Christ. And there were a lot of things that we were told we could not do. Tarot cards were one of them. We never talked about having beads and pearl stones. I'm meeting people in Africa that knows the different types of stones and what they do and how it makes you feel. Meanwhile, I was drawn to certain stones and colors, but was not knowledgeable until I began to seek information and was like, oh, it resonated with me,
Mhm,
even though I did not know why. Understanding that there are parts of your body that holds emotions. And if we don't open them up and express or stretch and breathe and let them out, actually does the body physical harm. So we could easily be walking around doing the work of God, being very religious, and
very.
knowing that we are carrying our own injuries, our own wounds, our own pains that we have not dealt with. And that was one of the things that I started to realize as I was growing up and being involved in church and raising my own children. I appreciate the fact that that was a foundation. It kind of it grounded me, and it did give me a moral compass of good and bad and how that related to my life. But then there were other things that I needed and other things that I had to throw out. And like you said, it is a journey. It is ongoing. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if I said this to you, and maybe I did, and I'm going to say it again. I met you over a year ago, and then you left the Gambia, and then you came back. And when you came back, you were such, sister, you were here to me. You were already here. But then it seemed like you came back, you had a new purpose, you had a new plan. There was just something about you that I can't even call you Jewel anymore. When every time I talk to you, I'm like fumbling. How do I introduce you? Because you're more than Jewel. You are the priestess. You're the ones that go to the ocean every Friday. Now, are you still going with the rain and the sea?
Yeah, girl, I said in the rain. I am in a wonderful place, and I sat out on my porch and drink my coffee 4 o'clock in the morning, and the rain was just
Mm,
pouring down, and I was like, yes, yes, because the rain is a purifier.
yes.
It's cleansing the earth, and if you let that rain pour on you, it's cleansing you. So I love the rain. I love the rain. And when we talk about being in nature, it's how we connect to the spirit.
Mm,
And so when I went home, I realized I didn't want none of my old life in the States. So
okay.
when you met me, I was in transitioning into who I wanted to be in my priesthood. I was already a reverend when I came. I got that doctrine before I even got to Gambia. I just never utilized it, didn't know, to even present people because I was living in my old head.
Mhm.
When I went home, I did a 30-day Vipassana silence, and that changed, walking meditations. And so it was like, I know what I'm supposed to do. And my ancestors came and talked to me and was like, no, you're going to do this, and I want you to do this way. And I was given opportunities to do more presentations in Oregon at the ocean, and giving offering and working with my children first hand, because it starts at home. If you
Yeah.
ain't doing nothing at home, you can't take it to somebody else. So I'm
Mm.
the first one. I had to clean my own house up, and I'm like, deuces. So I appreciate that comment. I really value that, and it's heartfelt because I was like this. I was in between, trying to get some ass and a drink. And I said that, huh? I
Said it.
was. I was in the Gambia, they sweet here. You be like,
Look, they
ooh,
they got it to offer. You want it, they got it.
got it. They got it. What's your lovely name?
It's nice
Jesus.
to be nice.
It's the, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, your statement is very true. I did come in and you met me, and I was missing my family. It was on the boat ride, and I had a crew of rubbing me like, no, put your hand right here. Because I'm the youngest, and my auntie Rachel, and my sissy Leanne in Seattle, they would hold me. They would hold me in their bosom. And I would, sleep with them and lay on them. So I'm used to that. And I needed it. I was like, I just miss it. So be in touch with your feelings and your emotions, because that's how you know you're alive.
That's
When we
right.
deny ourselves, we're denying the spirit and the creator to come in and soothe those spots.
That's
So when
right.
we talk about being closed off, my heart chakra was closed, my throat chakra, my third eye, I wasn't able to see because of all of the pain. And so chakra is just the energy in your body, the chi, the breath. It makes you go.
Mm.
It makes you flow. That's what your chakras are. That's what they do for you. We hold our anger in our liver. That's why they say leave liver alone.
Mm.
Your liver. And so in the Y12SR, which is yoga with the 12 steps, it teaches that an analogy is the issues are in the tissues. So we bring in the yoga practice of breath to feel the breath, to alleviate and open up the circuitry, our chakras. So when we sit in the chair and we brought our shoulders with our back erect and breathe in from our diaphragm
Mhm.
through our nose, and we could go ahead and do, a 5-minute
Mhm.
exercise.
Mhm.
So I want you to square off in your chair.
Okay. I'll have to adjust my so I'm winging it here. I'm gonna keep the camera on because this is for real.
This is
So
And you always ready. Leslie will
The
be in her.
funny thing is, I went to Best Buy. So I went to Best Buy to get a shredder. I have so many documents in the house that need to be thrown out. And I wanted to burn my paper in the yard. And I'm like, you ain't in Africa no more. They're gonna be calling the fire department on you. So I went and picked up a shredder, but while I was running through the store, I came across a vlogging kit and I was like,
Okay.
okay. So I now have the whole ring light and the whole other thing here, but I wasn't positioned well. Okay, so now I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. So we're gonna do a 5. I don't want to go over too much. Listen for the chime. I'm gonna have 3 chimes. We're gonna take it in deep from our diaphragm, and I'll walk you through this practice.
Okay.
It's kind of low. Back erect, shoulders broad. I want your legs to be open and squared off with the hips. And as you take that deep breath, your palms faced up in your lap. And just breathe, connect to your breath. Just go deep. And on your inhalation, make it as deep and as long as you can without being stagnant or stopping. And on your exhalation, find a window and blow it towards the window or a door. Relaxing breaths from the diaphragm. Exhaling all the toxins out of your body to the door or a window. These gentle breaths are reminders of the body, the organs, to work for you and with you. Because as you connect with your spirit, which is your breath, you're more able to navigate freely. You can imagine your cells being open up, receiving all the oxygen, the good oxygen, and releasing toxins as visioning black smoke, whatever resonates with you. But make sure it's a relaxing breath. So now we're going to take our arms down by our sides and do half circles just to release some of the tension in our shoulders. Raise your shoulders up to your ears, back down as you roll your arms in half circles. Gentle breaths, waking up the circuitry, aligning your breath with your spirit, just one. It's the alchemy is balance here. Your legs should still be squared off. And this is the short version of this exercise. So we're going to move right into taking our middle finger and our pointer finger. We're going to start at our knees, but in the inside of our knees. The issues are in the tissues, so it should be a tapping motion. And we start in the inner thigh, from your knee to the inner thigh.
Mhm.
Tap, 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 and breathe. Tap, 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 and breathe. Breathe as deep and as long as you can. And when you feel full, blow the smoke out the door, releasing toxins from your body. We store anger in our inner thigh. We store anger in our liver. These are connected. And we just tap, 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 tap. And this is not something that should hurt. This is not something that, should be like an ouch. Just waking up the circuitry. And then we take our two fingers and we go up to the diaphragm. We're going to hit all around our belly. It's not going to work. The solar plexus, the sacral chakra. That's where your liver is. And we just tap, 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 and breathe. Right by your belly button, I want you to hit all of that and then go around to your back,
Mhm.
the lower back, the hips, the kidneys. Tap, 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 tap. And breathe. Now, if we had more time, family, we would do this tapping all through our body. We would breathe. But most importantly is take the time to smell the roses as we go throughout our day, and to remember we're love, we're light. And then this is some face yoga, get them wrinkles, and the crow's feet stretching.
Ah.
That's why we don't have no wrinkles, all
No, black
behind
don't
it.
crack, black don't crack.
Black don't crack, black don't crack. But here in the shoulders and up on this clavicle right here, there's points that lead down to the heart. So we always want to say, I love you, heart.
I love you,
Thanks
heart.
for, yeah, talk to your organs. And that's something that our culture doesn't teach.
Mm.
Is get in touch with your vital organs. Talk kidneys, filter for me today. Do your job. Bladder, all of liver, get rid of that anger. I love you. Thank you for working for me. Thank you for keeping me alive. And especially our heart, because our heart is our emotions, our throat. Speak truth.
Mm.
See light. All of these things are vital to our livability and living with spirit. And I'm not doing things in order today. I'm just going around. But these are all pressure points in our body, and you can study yoga for yourself. Tap, 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 tap. You can do it. Learn about it. Enjoy life. So,
Mm.
ah,
Tell you, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, we are planning a workshop with Roxy in her group that's coming in November. I'm going to actually be on a call with her soon. So I could talk more about what she's doing. And then she's been giving online meetings for people to find out about the program and how she's broken it down. It could be a 14-day trip or a 7-day trip to one of the countries and then a 7-day trip to another country. She's doing Senegal and Gambia as a group, and then each one separately. And so I'm actually thinking of staying through November or till the time of the trip and
Okay.
meeting people at JFK Airport so that I can go back with them as an ambassador, so to speak. So they're not, I can assist them with navigating through going to
Thank you.
Africa, especially if
Yeah.
they've been here for the first time. It can be a little bit challenging. But tapping on my body is what I really needed, because even being back here, I'm jumping into the same stressors that I left. I came back and I didn't realize that when I left things unpacked or papers and in bags, and then the house wasn't getting cleaned. And so I came back to dust and clutter, and I realized I needed to do some cleaning. So I've been busy with that, and then trying to do some walking as well. And my left hip started hurting me. And I was like, not understanding what was happening. And I realized it's probably something that I'm eating or moving around differently, walking on level ground or walking on ground. I have not been walking a lot. I've been in the car a lot.
Okay. Leslie,
Yes.
let's take our three last breaths. I'm a close this circle out
Okay.
because,
Yes.
so come on. One, two, and come on. My phone closed on me. Okay, here's a chime. Now we can resume. Always like to end in the correct manner. You open, you close the space, so thank you.
Thank
Don't
you.
want to do,
I'm kind of
no.
rushing. I'm like, oh, it's almost 8 o'clock.
Yes, yes. And so, Roxy, we're scheduled in November. I can't wait to see you. I don't know if you're gonna go to the workshop, but there's, another workshop that I do called Radical Forgiveness. It's a healing journey. It's a whole process. We could come to that another time because I don't have time. I appreciate you. I honor the divinity in you, my love, and thank you. And one last question, if any.
No, we'll get together. We'll talk behind the scenes and we'll meet up again, because this has to be continued. There's so much that we are unpacking here. And as we be on our platforms and we encourage people to come to Africa and come to the Gambia, we want them to get healing. We want them to leave out being better than when they came, so that they have the tools to function in a
Right.
place where they may feel that it's hostile. And that goes into what's happening here with politics and all of that stuff. And we don't want to even go into that space. We want to keep breathing in and out and loving ourselves. I just want to say thank you so much for giving me your time and attention. I thank the Wi-Fi gods for having the internet and the router and electricity work properly. And I look forward to talking to you again, sister. Have a wonderful
Have
day.
a wonderful day.
Ashe. Bye.
Bye bye.